All right, welcome everyone to the special city council meeting of January 3rd, 2020. The nature of this meeting is to approve two resolutions regarding to grant opportunity that the city has looked at. This is with the Northeast Minnesota Transportation Alternatives solicitation. City Administrator, if you'd like to give a little bit of background on the applications.
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor, Council. This is an application, as you pointed out, to the Northeast Minnesota Transportation Alternatives solicitation, and it's being administered, or the application process is being overseen by the Arrowhead Regional Development Commission on behalf of MnDOT. And this is a solicitation to get federal funding for eligible projects throughout the state of Minnesota. The Northeast region has been allocated a total of $900,000. They had a preliminary meeting at the Arrowhead Regional Development Commission back in the end of September, beginning of October, and there was about a dozen people in attendance at that meeting. And again, there's only $900,000, but any projects with eligible activities can be funded a minimum of $100,000 and a maximum of $600,000. So if they wanted to fund somebody the maximum of $600,000, the most they could do is three others, because you got to do at least $100,000. So what we had anticipated applying for, and what this application has been prepared to do, is do two things. One is to install and expand the safe route to school by putting in a sidewalk from Highway 53, 11th Street on the south side of the road, which is at the Blue Ox trailhead, and then extending westerly to 8th Avenue to connect with an existing sidewalk that goes all the way to the Falls High School and Falls Elementary School. And again, that particular link was identified in the Safe Routes to School plan that was adopted or updated by the county back in 2016. So we're applying for that. I believe the estimated cost for that project is about $127,000. And then the other portion that we want to do is a 10-foot wide bituminous trail, and that'll run from the intersection of Highway 53 and 7th Street easterly from that intersection, and that's the intersection again where MnDOT is going to be taking out the signalized intersection. And as part of the MnDOT Highway 53 project, we are constructing a bituminous trail on the east side of 53 all the way from Memorial Drive, south of the Chocolate Moose, to 7th Street. But we were stopping there because the right-of-way narrows to 66 feet, and with the zero lot line setbacks in some of the buildings in there, it was deemed to be too congested to put a 10-foot wide bituminous trail there. So we're dead-ending it as part of the 53 project. This application will allow us to extend it where it dead ends at 7th Street, go easterly to 2nd Avenue, and then extend north on 2nd Avenue on the east side of the road all the way to 4th Street, cross the street, go across our property either on the roadside or behind the Chamber of Commerce building and the Convention and Visitors Bureau offices, and then come back out on the 2nd Avenue and go all the way up for sure to 2nd Street. And if technically feasible, I think we'd like to go all the way to the border crossing sidewalk to get across the International Bridge. And so again, that'll be a 10-foot bituminous sidewalk. And as part of this application, and the reason why I think that this is a strong application is we're creating linkages between existing trails, the Blue Ox Trail, the one we're doing on Highway 53. We're creating a safe route to school for all the people on the South International Falls side of the community across 53, and then directly down 11th Street to where the Falls High School and the Falls Elementary School are located. People can also divert off of 11th Street to get to Bacchus Community Center or the St. Thomas Catholic School and Church if they need to along an alternate route. And then we're tying in with the Rainy Lake Regional Trail that was improved a few years ago by Koochiching County going all the way down 11 East. The other reason why I think this particular application scores highly is because they identified if it's along a scenic byway, there's some value in that, and this is actually going to cross the scenic byway. It's the Waters of the Dancing Sky, which go all the way from Dove Island to Karlstad, which is about 229 miles west of Dove Island. So we'll be crossing that, and again creating another linkage to our central business district, and then that trail that I just talked about. This particular application shows statistics from the Customs and Border Protection showing that there's 900,000 vehicles a year crossing the international bridge. There's 39,000 trucks and about 500 buses, and 20,000 pedestrians, which I find an astronomical number, but that's traffic going in both directions. So there's a great amount of traffic on there, and again, trying to improve that safety there, and so I think it's a strong project from that standpoint, and it's promoting public safety and then these various trail linkages. And so we discussed that in the narrative of the application here. Ted's prepared the 11 by 17 estimated costs here, and so we've identified doing 7th Street and 2nd Avenue to 4th Street in 2022. These federal transportation alternative monies will be available in 2024, and we have to expend the money and get reimbursed for it. So we're right on track to do that. I think we would final the project out in 2023 after punch list items are addressed, and then get subsequent federal funding in 2024, which is the federal fiscal year. I don't know if that's October of 23 going into 24, or if it's starting in October of 24, but that's the proposal. It's fairly straightforward. There's several letters of support in here, as well as our application materials, and then I handed out for your review a letter of support from PCA signed by the mill manager and the Chamber of Commerce, and the Chamber one was distributed to at least 5 of their board members, and they're supportive of it. The application's due at 4:30 today. It needs to be emailed, and it needs to be in Word format, so I got to figure out how to take these 2 PDF files and insert them in here to get them there, but I'll have to call Emma or something. But so in order to move forward with the application, we need the City Council to approve 2 resolutions, which are at the back of your packet. One is to authorize moving forward with the solicitation, and the second is authorizing us to do whatever is necessary for maintenance on a ongoing basis thereafter. So,
All right, first then, what I'd like to do is thank the administrator for the hard work. I do realize that this was put together relatively quickly, but with that being said, it's very thorough. I also want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for their letter of support, PCA for their letter of support, Coochin County Highway Department for their letter of support, the City of Rainier, Independent School District 361, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the Community Wellness Action Council, and I believe I said PCA, and if I did not, it was definitely met. Yes, PCA for their letters of support. I think that that'll help make for a strong case. I'd like to also follow up with, this is one of the things that we have in our soon-to-be adopted comprehensive plan. These are both items that were outlined of opportunities that we wanted to see the city look at towards the future, and it is also in our 5-year CIP of items that we wanted to fix and move forward. So we're really moving everything in the direction that we need to get the infrastructure so that we can be successful in the future with trying to bring people to our hospitality industry, be part of our area, see the national park in the backyard that we have, and I'm very, very happy to see that this looks good moving forward. So at this time, does anyone have any questions for the city administrator on the grant proposal? Hearing none, the first item we have is to approve the resolution to provide authorization to execute the Northeast Minnesota Transportation Alternatives Solicitation application.
As Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, I will move to
Okay, so we have a motion by Counselor Kraus. Do we have a second?
The chairman of Public Works, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second by Counselor Buller. Any discussion? Well, since there's no discussion, Counselor Deitch, I just want to let you know you're going to be the first one to get to vote on it if they're going to be firsting and seconding it. So all those in favor, or the chair calls the question at this time.
Aye. Aye.
And I will vote yes. Motion carries 4-0.
And you vote as?
Oh, and I will vote yes. The second item that we have is the resolution to agree to maintain the facilities constructed with federal transportation funds. Chair would entertain a motion for that.
So move.
We have a motion by Counselor Deitch. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Counselor Buller. So we have a motion and second. Any discussion on the maintenance? This would be, I guess I have one question, Administrator. If we do this, is this year-round? Would we have to maintain for the safe routes to school, clean those sidewalks, or would that fall under, how would that work?
Mayor and Council, in response to a question about winter and maintenance, I responded in the application indicating that we have an ordinance that requires the adjacent property owners to remove snow within 24 hours after the conclusion of a snow event. And I indicated that the representation that Mayor Anderson had made to MnDOT was that the city would be making sure that the 10-foot bituminous trail on the east side of Highway 53 would be cleared, and probably using city staff to do that because of the width of it and the extent. So that's what I represented in the application. And with the bituminous trail continuing, if this application is approved, on 7th Street and up 2nd Avenue to near the International Bridge, it would be reasonable for us to continue to do that. And again, we have an ongoing inspection and maintenance program for sidewalks as well as the bituminous trails, and we maintain the bituminous trail on 1171, so I also noted that. So the short answer is yes, we would be assuming responsibility, and again, given the amount of pedestrians, I'm sure the number is lower in the winter months, but for year-round access, we would be removing snow from those.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Does Administrator Anderson, that includes, is that just the trail or the trail and the sidewalk? I might point out that the sidewalk, two blocks of that 5-block sidewalk are on city property, and another half a block of a vacant lot. So I don't necessarily know that they would be removing snow from a vacant lot. So I do fear that that would go unshoveled.
For the council members that are not members of the Public Works Committee, we've had some conversation with the Public Works Committee about snow removal, and we've talked about it each of the last 3 years that I've met with them, and I think the committee's agreed to look at the snow removal policy and see what we want to do to try and do it. People have brought to my attention that years ago the city actually had some equipment, and we maintained and removed the snow from all the sidewalks. But and that can be very time consuming depending on the amount of snow, and so I think part of what was represented by the city engineer, Kurt Meyer, is he indicated that some cities just have and designate important pedestrian connections on trails or sidewalks that would need to be maintained year-round, and so that's something I think that the committee is going to look at and come up with a policy. And I raised the question because we normally put an ad in the paper and on the radio encouraging people to make sure they remove snow so that the gas company and the mail carriers and those kinds of people can have access to property. And some people do it and some people don't. It just depends. So,
thank you.
All right. Any other questions on the maintenance agreement? Hearing none, question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. With no other items on our agenda for this special meeting, we will adjourn.